Greetings, my friends. Please consider supporting me in my war to save pop culture by subscribing to my channel and possibly even becoming a channel member for exclusive videos, access to Doomcock emojis, and more. And if you like this video in particular, please consider using the new Super Thanks feature and putting a tip in the tip jar located next to the like buttons down at the bottom of the video. Thank you for watching, and now, on to the video. Castle Xanadu, my fortress at the center of the earth, built atop the remains of an ancient and still functioning alien base, an alien base that to the best of my knowledge is abandoned by its architects. The center of the earth is a biosphere with many species that are extinct on the earth's surface, species like dinosaurs, lizard men, magma men, and talented Disney script writers. I'm kidding, there are no talented Disney script writers down here, or on the surface for that matter. Judging by all the live-action remakes and reboots from Disney, now that James Gunn has left, talent at Disney appears to be largely, if not completely, extinct. How did this extinction take place? Let's look at the fossil record, namely the firing of Bob Chapek and the return of Bob Iger. Greetings, my friends. I am Victor Van Doomcock, the future ruler of Earth, and I am here today to share a report from my Hollywood spies about the pivotal moment at Disney where fiscal sanity almost returned and wokeness was almost beaten back into the Stygian abyss from whence it rose. As I've stated before, there are elements inside Disney that know how wretched things have become, old-fashioned elements that still believe corporations should exist to make a profit for their investors, but alas, the coup failed, at least for the moment, with the return of Bob Iger. According to an extensive report from my Hollywood spies, Iger's return signaled the death knell for Disney, and now we have a clearer understanding of how Bob Chapek's firing helped cement Disney's decline. My Hollywood spies have dug deep into what happened with Bob Chapek's firing and how this all but guaranteed that Disney was headed for a dumpster fire of Wagnerian proportions, and today I will share with you what they told me.
Disney just doesn't get it, man. Instead of taking risks with new original material, trying to make new franchises, tell new stories to excite the imagination, they keep doubling and tripling down on remake after reboot after sequel, cannibalizing their own classic movies for spare parts. And people are catching on, dude.
Correct, Harvey Cthulhu. Take, for example, the Little Mermaid live-action remake. It had its world premiere on May 8th for a select audience of critics that Disney deemed sufficiently friendly or sufficiently cowed to guarantee rave reviews for this obviously inferior remake of their animated classic. When you have a premiere event like this, you know that most of what you're going to hear is the most positive spin possible from hand-picked shills who are hyped from the party and afraid to lose the very special access that got them invited to that party. So when bad reviews come out of a world premiere Hollywood screening, you know there are problems. Any audience member at a world premiere is going to give you your best possible reviews, which is why they do it. But when there's trouble in paradise, here is where you see the first early warning signs. Check out just a few of these reviews, my friends. Simon Thompson struggles to put a positive spin on his coverage, hoping to placate the mouse, but has to concede, quote, "Endearing but uneven, The Little Mermaid doesn't deliver the magic of the animated classic." Similarly, Kirsten Acuna desperately tries to put a good spin on her opinion to keep the grim squeaker from whacking her access, but in the end states, "The Little Mermaid is filled with a few great performances from Halle Bailey and Melissa McCarthy, but it's a mostly paint-by-numbers remake that isn't as good as the animated masterpiece." And Courtney Howard similarly couches her opinion in a cloak of praise, but concedes that The Little Mermaid, charming but incredibly spotty, Halle Bailey, Jonah Hewer-King, Melissa McCarthy, and Javier Bardem put their heart and souls into a film that can't escape its animated legacy. So why the fuck would anyone watch the Little Mermaid live-action knockoff? Why be a rube, an easy mark, and get played by the Disney Corporation to watch an inferior knockoff of a movie that chances are you've already seen or even have right now on your own DVD shelf? Disney's business model under Iger seems to be hoping that the audience is dumb enough to watch a bastardized, inferior version of a movie that's been out for decades. Does this seem like good business sense to you? Same thing with Peter Pan and Wendy, a dreary live-action retread so bad it got shuffled directly onto Disney Plus with little fanfare and equally lackluster reviews. And Disney wonders why it's losing money hand over fist. But this mindset had its origins in Bob Iger's decision at a key point after Disney bought Star Wars to remake the original trilogy with Rey as Luke and Starkiller Base as the Death Star. Right there, the play it safe by remaking existing properties mentality doomed Star Wars, and now Disney is continuing this play it safe and go broke scheme. But how long will they be able to afford it?
It is heartening to see Disney paying the price for their lack of originality in terms of profits and loss of public goodwill. But are your spies saying that Disney actually had a chance to change course, to reverse this disastrous decline?
I am Skull of Calderon, or at least my Hollywood spies are saying it. Indeed, the key, like him or hate him, was Bob Chapek. Regardless of what you think of this man, he understood that Disney needed to abandon the woke crusade and get back to making politically neutral content free of the tyrannical SJW bullying of BlackRock and Vanguard elements on the board. Chapek took a shot at trying to fix things, and this is why he was let go, according to sources inside the company. At this point, I must state that what I'm about to tell you is information provided to me by sources claiming knowledge of the situation inside Disney, but since I cannot personally verify this information, I am presenting it as unverified rumor, and I ask you to please take it with a grain of salt. Yesterday, I received a final update from my Hollywood spies who have been trying to get some kind of final word on why Chapek was fired. We had part of the story before this, but now we have a fairly complete picture on what went wrong and what this means for Disney moving forward. This is what my spies had to say. Quote, "As you know, we have been working on Bob Iger versus Bob Chapek now for a while. We have been waiting patiently in hopes of getting some verification on at least some version of what we've been told. Well, the wait paid off. While the source for this wishes to stay completely anonymous, we believe this source told us everything that they could. We verified the source and they checked out. This is as detailed as we can make it without unmasking the source themselves. According to this source, we were on the right track. There is a war at Disney, and it is a very bitter situation. So why was Bob Chapek removed in the way he was? The following is what this source claims. Disregarding how you feel about Bob Chapek, he was trying to move the company back to a more sustainable way. And there was a plan to push BlackRock and Vanguard's views out and make them less relevant as far as their seats on the board go. Peltz and Perlmutter were both working to this end, which is why Perlmutter was fired the way he was. It was to scare other board members and keep the swing voters in line. The plan was to get Peltz on the board. As we know, this didn't happen. Bob Iger and his allies moved hard and fast, unquote.
Plus, it has been alleged by many, including Cameron Pasha, that there were fiscal irregularities and perhaps massive losses from the FTX fiasco, losses that Chapek was threatening to expose if he didn't get his way and secure a spot on the Disney board for his ally, Mr. Peltz.
That is the allegation, Harvey, though no proof of this directly has surfaced. Nevertheless, Bob Iger is, in my opinion, a politician at heart. And as a politician, he is wishy-washy, hard to nail down on anything, and loves to play it safe. In his mind, and in the minds of many on the board that support him, I suppose, playing it safe means sticking to the typical formula, remaking the same shit endlessly, including a soft remake of the original Star Wars trilogy, a decision that resulted in Disney going down the Jar Jar Abrams path, sucking the excitement and surprise and joy out of the Star Wars franchise, allowing Kennedy to drive the fans away, and ultimately, I suppose, draining a lot of excitement out of Disney Plus, given that Disney Plus's main flagship IP was Star Wars. We'll see later today on the Disney earnings call what Iger has to say about Disney's profits at this point, but there's little doubt that Disney has been impacted negatively by this play-it-safe mentality that all but guarantees results ranging from mediocre to atrocious. But what of the future? My spies had this to say, quote, "As we understand it, Bob Iger's plan now is the executive from Nike, Mark Parker, is in line to take his place. If Bob Iger does step down, the Nike guy will effectively be a Bob Iger clone, and Disney will most likely die on this woke hill. As far as we know, Bob Iger still has an eye on running for president of the United States, and it just so happens his contract ends next year. To be clear, we are not saying he's going anywhere. If he doesn't win the Democratic nomination, we fully expect him to stay at Disney till he wants to leave or the board is forced to make changes. Unless somebody comes in with something new, we feel this is a very accurate account of what happened. This may not be 100% of the story, but we feel it's the majority." Unquote. Tonight on Pop Culture Breakdown, we will be analyzing the Disney earnings report with Mexican Iron Man, but one doesn't actually need to see statistics to recognize that Disney is creatively bankrupt, releasing remake after remake, and when a company founded on creative endeavors goes creatively bankrupt, is it so unlikely that other forms of bankruptcy will follow? Disney is a juggernaut, and juggernauts, like roaches, tend to keep lumbering on through sheer momentum even when they're on their last legs. But as always, my friends, only time will tell. We'll see how The Little Mermaid fares with the public, and Indiana Jones 5, well, that will be something to see. From the center of the earth, this is Dictor Van Doomcock bidding you all, my friends, stay angry.